welcome to the Hip Hop Spectrum. This is your source for all things hip hop related and urban related. Welcome to the Spectrum. Let's get into it, man. So, Math Hoffa has been making the rounds through the hip hop community, or I would say, or should I say, the YouTube podcast community, because for two reasons. The first reason was Math recently had J Hood on his show, and J Hood was expressing themselves regarding Styles P, the situation regarding D Block, and the things that they went through when he was on the label, and that got Styles P feathers a little ruffled. It got him a little upset. He didn't really like that. He felt like Math should have hollered at him, which Math stated that he did try to holler at him. But Styles P was definitely salty, more salty towards J Hood. He claimed J Hood was lying about a lot of things like that. But the newest situation that's going on with Math Hoffa is the situation between him allowing Troy Ave to come on his show. You know, Troy Ave, he was involved in an incident a few years back with Taxstone, and Bodyguard Banger was also his friend, ended up getting killed in the shooting. Taxstone, Troy Ave ended up getting shot. A few other people got shot in the club, so you know the case is still ongoing. So into China Mac. China Mac then says, you know, hey, look, you shouldn't have Troy Ave. You shouldn't have had Troy Ave on your show. You know, talking about information on an open case, pretty much trying to insinuate that Math Hoffa is, you know, he's trying to put him out there as being like kind of like a snitch. But he's actually also saying that Troy Ave is a snitch. You know, but here's my thing. My thing is, listen, man. I grew up with Math Hoffa, solid brother. I call him Just, solid brother, man. Went to school with him and all of that. Shout out to Antoine, shout out to Mia, shout out to Just. Solid dude. Troy Ave is also from my neighborhood as well. I've seen him a few times, and it's funny because even though Troy Ave was from my neighborhood, I never knew exactly what street he was from. It was weird, but I used to see him in this like this Suburban, like them old Tahoes, the long ones. He used to be selling CDs out of his car. I saw him on the street. A lot of y'all don't know about New York, you know, Brooklyn. I seen him on first time I ran into Troy Ave was a while back, man. He was on Crown Street in Schenectady. He pulled me over. He said, "Hey, bro, can you support the music?" And I supported it. You know what I mean? Nobody really knew who he really was at that time. You know, he was just trying to, you know, stake his claim. You know, he was out there grinding, trying to make it. You know what I mean? You gotta respect that. If for those that don't know why his name is Troy Ave, it's because where he's from, that's a street called Troy Avenue. That's in Brooklyn. That's in Crown Heights. And Troy Avenue is one of the main, it's like a north and south North Street. It's one of the main roads that cut through Crown Heights. You know, it's like every street in Crown Heights that goes up and down is north and south. All of those streets is pretty much named after like towns that's like in upstate New York. Got Troy, New York, Schenectady, Utica, Buffalo, Albany, Kingston, like that. So it goes in that order, you know, from left, it goes from left to right in that order, and the last one being Rochester too, is a Rochester Avenue, you know, stuff like that. So that's where Crown Heights kind of ends at, you know, just a quick geographical lesson for y'all. But here's my thing, man, about China Mac, man. A lot of people are saying that China Mac a culture vulture. It seems like he is, man. I'm keeping it real. I'm also on this channel to give my honest opinion on things, whether people like it or not. I was watching an interview between Math Hoffa. He responded to China Mac's accusations and trying to pretty much tell people not to fuck with Math Hoffa. And he made a point. He's like, yo, when, you know, why is it okay? You want to you want to talk about Troy Ave talking to police and he's a snitch and all of this stuff, right? But you pick and choose when it's okay to fuck with the police. You know what I mean? It's okay to fuck with the police, to use the Citizen Act when your people was getting beat up in the streets. But when it's my people and the shit that we going through, you try to tell us who we can and can't have on our shows and stuff. And I kind of agree. I definitely agree with Math on that, man. You know, people need to stay in their lane. You know, yeah, you grew up around the culture, bro, but you are not. You know, he grew up. See, the thing is this: when people grow up around the culture, they like to feel like, they are part of that. You know what I mean? Or as far as to say is this, like, let's say if China Mac got pulled over by the police, man, and I know he grew up he said he grew up in Brooklyn. I don't know where at in Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? But he said that he grew up in Brooklyn. So I'm like, okay, has he ever been exposed to stop and frisk? I'm not sure. I know he been in jail, he did a crime and all that other stuff. But he'll never have it. He still would never have it as hard as a black person would have it. Period. Doesn't matter what he say, what he try to say, he part of what culture. A lot of these dudes that love the black culture, they love us until a certain extent, until other things start transpiring and they don't want to be us no more. Then they become Asian, then they become white, then they become Hispanic, whatever the case is. That's what I be finding when it comes to a lot of these other races, you know what I mean? I respect the fact that he looks up to hip hop culture, man. But at the same time, there's not just one person that's like a Troy Ave. You know what I mean? You got to dish it out equally to everybody, bro. You can't really just point Math Hoffa out and then just forget about everybody else that's doing the same shit. Or what you perceive to be as snitching or whatever the case is. But, I don't hate Asian people. But here's the thing though, man. To be real, most of them don't like us. You know what I mean? Like, they were just a shooting with Asians in California. You see a rep, she comes out immediately. She comes out, one of the congresswomen, she comes out and she starts speaking up on camera, everything. That's her people. Never saw this rep speak up for nobody else. When other people get shot, you never see these other racial groups speak up for black people. When blacks got murdered in Buffalo, you never see that. And that's cool. Let the people, they supposed to ride for their people. But why is it always a problem when we do it? It's always a problem when we stick together. And what I'm seeing is on a lot of these YouTube channels, I'm starting to see a lot of camaraderie. A lot of dudes are starting to be on code. Shout out to Hassan Campbell. He's on code with it. There was a few other cats. Shout out to I believe his name is Call Outs. He's from Brooklyn too, man. Shout out to him. I just discovered his channel, Call Outs. He seemed like a real solid brother. You know what I mean? We have to learn to stick together as a people, man. Because everybody else do it with their people. And it's only right that we start sticking up for our people. And it's funny because a lot of these other racial groups, they stick up for their people, rather they're wrong or right. Do you guys remember Peter Liang, the guy that shot Akai Gurley in the pink houses in Brooklyn? I know a lot of y'all remember that story. He shot Akai Gurley. Akai Gurley was walking through the staircase in the projects. Him and his Peter Liang and his friend was his partner. They're allowed to patrol NYPD in the projects. They're allowed to patrol the stairwells with their guns out, which is dangerous. So I guess Akai Gurley startled one of them when he opened the door, and then Peter Liang shot Akai Gurley in the chest and killed him. You didn't see no Asian people come out and say that was wrong. You should have thought twice. You should have been, if you so nervous, you shouldn't take this line of work. You never saw them wag the finger at Peter Liang, but they all stood strong to get Peter Liang out of jail. You see what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that. That's why we gotta learn to stick together. Wrong is wrong, but to them, their people never wrong. So there's certain instances where we gotta stick together the same way, unless it's like something like a murder, like a blatant murder, or child molestation or rape, then we can't fuck with you like that. But if it's other things, bro, we got to stand strong, period. That's just my take on it, man. And so sum it up, do I think China Mac is a culture vulture? I do think he is, because you have no right to talk about situations that was only amongst black people. There was no Asians involved in that situation, no nothing. And if you really think about it, man, that shit don't really got nothing to do with hip hop, man. Because that could have happened in two Asians. You know what I mean? That don't have nothing to do with hip hop. That just so happened there was a rapper involved in that situation, man. That's some street shit. That don't really have nothing to do with hip hop. You can't really attach that to hip hop, man. That was some street shit that went on, and it just so happened a rapper was part of it. You know, so who is China Mac to really try to dictate, try to silence people and try to tell people not, try to shadow ban other podcasters because of what he don't believe is right or wrong. You know what I mean? Still on that snitch stuff and all this other stuff, man. Hey, look, man, I got a whole different outlook on that gangster tough shit. You know what I mean? My thing is this: if you gangster and you tough, you don't let cops take you to jail. You feel what I mean? That's how I'm always gonna feel like that. If you tough, and you gangster, and you for the streets, then be for the streets all the way. Don't be tough and gangster, and then when the cops come, you put your hands up and surrender. You know what I mean? I can't respect that. That's just my angle on it, man. But anyway, shout out to Math Hoffa. Keep doing your thing, my guy. We see you out here. I'm really happy for you. The success that brother is having, man. I mean, a lot of y'all don't understand. You know what I mean? Sometimes a lot of us, we come out the hood, we got shit rough. You know what I mean? We have rough patches in our life. We want to do for our families, and a lot of times we run into these obstacles. We still be trying to figure things out. And Math Hoffa, he figured out what his calling was. So you got to always respect that. Sometimes it take a while for you to figure out your calling. And he figured out his calling, man. And I just wish everybody else respect that. That's all I got to say, man. Yo, salute to everybody. Shout out to Brooklyn. This is the Hip Hop Spectrum, man. Thanks for listening. Catch y'all later.